Hello and welcome to Art with Mrs. Torres. I hope you're feeling lucky because today we're going to be making a St. Patrick's Day gnome. You only need simple supplies, things you already have in your house. I can't wait to teach you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, let's get ready to draw our lucky leprechaun gnome. I'm so excited to do this project. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser. You're going to need a Sharpie marker and something to color with. I will be using markers, but crayons would work fabulous, and so would colored pencils. So anything you've got around the house that you can use would be fantastic. Now, the paper could be just the paper that comes out of your printer. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Now, the very first thing I like to always have you do is find the center of your paper and make a dot. So I'm going to find the center with my pencil, and I'm going to make a dot. Now that center of our paper is how we do our placement. So when I see my center right here, that's right where the nose of my gnome is going to go. So once I have my center, now I'm going to come right here and I'm going to draw a nose, nice and big. Now the next part of our gnome is to draw a circle around that nose. Just make a big fat circle. We're going to use the circle to help us draw our beard. And I'm doing it nice and light so I can erase it later. Now I'm going to divide the space right here behind his nose by drawing a curved line. This is going to be his floppy hat. So I'm going to make kind of a curved line. It goes right where his nose is. And then I'm going to form his fun cap. So it's kind of like a triangle when we begin. So I'm going to make kind of the shape of a triangle. And I'm going to make it kind of fat. So it kind of curves out. But now I'm going to flip my hat a little bit and I'm going to bring it up and over like this. Now you could flip your hat the other direction. It's up to you which way you want it to flip. And you can make the hat flip will be very long if you want to, or you could bring it all the way down till it touches his toes. It doesn't really matter. You're just making a fun little flipping hat. Now I'm going to make a little curve here. So there's a little wrinkle in the hat. Let me erase this so you could see what I just did. So now I made just a little, kind of like a smile right there. And I think I'm going to put one more wrinkle in the hat right here. So I'm just making like a backward C. I'm going to bring the hat down, and then right here at the edge, I'm going to make a big curve like this. This is going to make the hat look like it's kind of scrunched around his head. On this side, I'm going to do the same thing that I did here. I'm just going to make a little bump on the side. And now I'm going to go over here and erase my pencil lines inside the hat that I don't want to use anymore because we don't need those. Now it's time to draw our beard and our shoes. So I'm going to start by, on this side, making a curvy line that comes out and down and around like this, and out and down and around, kind of like it's flipping out. And then I'm just going to go back and forth, like a ziggity-zag line. So it's nice and fluffy at the bottom. When I'm finished with that, I can erase the circle. I don't need it anymore. That was just to help us with our placement to make our beard nice and full. You don't want to have a skinny head under a giant hat. You want to make sure that it makes sense when you're looking at your picture. So now that I have my beard, I can even go in and make my nose larger or smaller. So maybe your nose is too small, or maybe you want to make it bigger. I'm going to make my nose a little bigger. I like to make my nose, once I draw the hat, just a tiny bit overlapping. So it really looks like it's kind of pushed down on his face. Next comes his shoes. So what I'm going to do is draw an imaginary line that comes down underneath his nose. And right when I get to the bottom of the beard, I'm going to make a little mark. This is going to help me make his shoes. And then I'm going to draw a curved line right here and a curved line right here. Later, we're going to turn that into a rainbow. I'm going to place one shoe on this side. See how I made that curved line? And then I'm going to make this into the other part of the shoe. So now I'm going to have this round shoe that you really can't see because it's kind of underneath his beard, but it would be a half of a circle here. So if you could see through his beard, it would look like this. And if that's easier for you, just to make a half circle and then erase it once you're done, you can do that. So you can go like this and make the shoes, make sure that they're same size, and then go in with your eraser and erase the lines inside the beard. Then we're going to draw the bottom of the shoe, which is called the sole of the shoe. So I'm going to add an extra line right here across the bottom. So that's the bottom of the shoe. It's called the sole. And then the final part will be to draw his hands. So I'm going to draw a circle on this side and a circle on this side. And we're going to figure out what you want to have your gnome holding in a little while. Let's make a sleeve. So I'm just going to make a short line on both sides. And I'm going to close the sleeve off. It's kind of like the cuff of his shirt. And if you want to, you can give him a little thumb, but you don't have to. Thumbs would be on the top. Now for the rainbow. So the rainbow is going to go from one side of the paper to the other. So I'm just going across the paper, underneath the shoe. That's why we made it on a curve all the way to the other side. And then depending upon how many stripes you make in your rainbow will depend upon how many colors you will color with later. So that's going to be red. That will be orange, green. I'm sorry, yellow. I don't even know my rainbow colors. Oops. That's going to be red, orange, yellow, green. And I might have room for blue. Purple can be down there if I have room. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Next, I'm going to go up here and just make a few little marks in his beard, just so his beard looks a little furry. And now we get to decide, what do you want your little gnome holding? I have my gnome holding a shamrock and a balloon that was a shamrock. I thought that was kind of fun, but you could just make a green balloon if you want to. So let me show you my trick for making a shamrock. So the first thing you want to do is make the stem. So the stem is going to be going right here underneath his hand and then out the top. I'm going to have a nice long stem so I can draw my shamrock over here. And when I'm drawing my shamrock, or you can make it short and have it right here. You could hang it off to the side of his beard too. So when I'm drawing my shamrock, what I do is I first draw the stem and I draw a circle for how big I want my shamrock to be. So I'm going to make my shamrock kind of big, like this big. So that is going to be my shamrock. So I make my circle. That's going to be kind of my guide. And then it looks like a puffball right now. So now I'm going to make the letter X, and my X is going to go right through the middle like this. And then that is going to help me make my shamrock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here where this V is. I'm going to turn this into a heart. And then I'm going to erase the center. And then I'm going to rotate my paper. And I'm going to turn this section into a heart. Erase the center, the circle, because we don't need it anymore. Turn my paper. You get the idea. And when you're all finished, you're going to have a nice 4-leaf clover or shamrock, which is going to bring you lots of luck. Inside, I'm going to go like this and draw 2 little wrinkles in each petal of the shamrock. And then we can decide whether we want to draw something else. You could draw another rainbow in the background. You could have a rainbow coming off the side and landing on your gnome. You could have two clouds with a rainbow going over his head. You could have a pot of gold. You could have him holding a golden coin and have a pot of gold right here on top of the rainbow. I really want you to have fun with this project. So what I decided to do was to make another shamrock and make it into a balloon. So how I did that was I went up here, I decided how big I wanted my balloon to be by drawing my circle. Then I drew an X through the middle. And I repeated what we just did the last time, turning each section into a heart. Now, you're probably wondering, why do we have to rotate our paper? You don't have to. I rotate my paper because if I don't, I tend to make my hearts really kind of crooked and wonky. So this seems to help me make them a little bit more balanced. But then again, I didn't know the colors of the rainbow and I'm your art teacher, so who knows? Maybe you shouldn't listen to me. You should do your own thing. Okay, so after I'm finished, I draw a little circle at the bottom and I draw a little loop around this. And that is going to be the part where the string comes down. So I'm going to make my string connect right here because that would be where you'd kind of tie the bow and it comes down. It's going to go right here through his hand. And you could just make a straight line coming down, or what I do is I kind of got it whoop and I loop it around. So when you're finished with this, now it is time to go in with your Sharpie marker and we're going to trace over all of your pencil lines with your Sharpie marker. So I am using a fine tip marker. It's got a nice kind of bullet point on it. And when I need to do a fat line, let me show you my trick for that. So you can make a skinny line when you're tracing by holding your pen straight up and down like this. So I made my skinny line, but I like a chubby outline. Look at my outline. I like it more chubby and fat. So what I do is I take my marker and I kind of hold it on an angle and I pull the marker on its side. And then my line is a little chubbier. Plus, I try to go over my lines 2 times each time. So look at the difference between this and this. You might like a skinny line because you are the artist. I don't want you to copy what I'm doing. I want you to decide the style that you like. So this is 1 time around with the side of the marker, which still looks different than this. But this is 2 times around. I just like it nice and thick like that. So I am going to go in and trace over all of my lines with my marker, and then I'm going to erase my pencil lines. I want you to do the same thing, and then meet me back here when you have all of your black outline done, and you're erasing. Make sure you erase with your magic rub all your pencil lines, and then I'll show you a few tricks with our coloring. Okay, welcome back. I have erased all my pencil lines and gone over all of my lines with my Sharpie marker. And now it's time to color. So what are you going to be using today? I'm going to be using markers, but crayons would work great also. Now I happen to have a skin tone, flesh tone marker that I can use for my nose, but it depends on what marker set you have. If you do not have a skin tone marker, you can go in and use a crayon. So you might have a flesh tone crayon in your coloring box that you can grab, and you could use that instead. So I've got a flesh tone crayon that I can use, or if you have a flesh tone marker, you can use that. Colored pencil would work also. So I'm going to go in and color my nose first. And then that's the only thing that's going to be skin color is my nose. So the next part would be, what do you want to start with for your hat? Do you want to do a pattern of some sort? I did polka dots because that was kind of fun, but you don't have to do polka dots. You could do something different, maybe stripes, or you could do maybe a rainbow hat because he's standing on a rainbow. That would be fun too. So for me, when I'm doing this, I'm just going to trace a circle. Big round circles around my picture. And then I can color those in with a color later. So there's one idea. Now I can try a new marker color and I can fill it in. So I'm going to use a light green. So I have these two colors in my set. Maybe you have a set that's got more colors. So I have one set of markers called my Crayola Super Tips. I really like them. This is my Super Tips. They're not very expensive and you could get them at Target, Walmart, any art store has them. But the reason I like them is they come with a lot of colors and they're not very expensive. So I really love those. And they do have a nifty tip on them that you can use. So you can make a fat line or a skinny line. So watch, here's my marker. This is my super tip marker that I was telling you about. So I can use it and make a little skinny line like this. See that? A little tiny dot. Or I can use it and get a big wide line with it. So look at here. If I use it here, I kind of hold it on its side. Look at how fast I can color my whole shamrock with this. These are pretty cool markers. When you're working, you're going to kind of create whatever kind of pattern you want. And, don't be afraid to try something different. You don't have to copy what I'm doing. You could leave his hat white and you could just do a bunch of polka dots, all different rainbow colors. That would be really fun. Every time I do this picture, I change it up and I do something different each time. Let me try one more. I'm going to make a few polka dots that are going to stay white. And then sometimes I'll make a little half one on the side. And then once I've done that, now I go in with whatever marker I'm using and I try to color in one direction. So I turn my paper like this and I just kind of pull the marker from one side to the other and I just kind of flip it up and over when something gets in the way. Then I go up another section a little higher, jump over, and then I do another. And you'll see as I do this, it's going to leave a few white dots behind, and that's okay. I'm going to fill those in later. So you see I'm pulling the marker across. And if you do this, it's so much cleaner. The lines won't be so scribble scrabbly. You know how like sometimes when you're coloring, you'll have one area that's really dark because you kind of went over it too much and then it never kind of matches the other areas. So now I can go back in with the tip of this marker and just kind of fill in the little spaces that are left white. So that's how I do my coloring when I'm filling a space in. Now, another way to do it really quick is by doing one background color first. So let's say for my balloon up here. Now, before I do color this balloon in, I want to show you what I do. So the first thing I do when I'm going to be coloring something that's shiny, which a balloon would be shiny, is I leave a little kind of a kind of a moon shape, like a sliver of a moon, like a little curve like this at the top where the light would be shimmering off and leaving a highlight. Then you can go in now and fill in the rest of your shamrock. To give it a little bit more dimension, I can go in and add a second coat, same marker, around the edge. So see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of running it around the edge here. But it's the same marker, but it looks darker because it's the second coat. It's going to kind of make it look a little bit more dimensional. Like there's some highlights and then there's actually some shadows. And then I can go over those little wrinkles that I put in the center. And fill in the bottom. Let that dry for a minute. Then I can go in and add my second coat on the side. I think that turned out pretty cute. So you could go in now, if you do a light coat, you could go in and then make a pattern. So I could go in with a darker marker and I can do polka dots or stripes. So this would work really cute on the hat too. If you wanted to do your hat all solid one color, a light color, then you can go in with a darker color later and do tiny polka dots over it, or large polka dots too. So once I've done that, then obviously I need to finish my hat, but I want to show you a couple more tricks before we move on to the rainbow. So, and I don't want to bore you while I'm coloring the whole hat. How about the beard? So when I think of a leprechaun, I think they have kind of an orangey red beard. So the way I get that color is I actually don't start with orange. I start with yellow. So I take my yellow marker and I'm going to put a base coat of yellow all over his beard. I'm using the side of my marker and I'm pulling it. I can fill this area really quickly when I use the side. If I'm using the tip and I'm scribbling back and forth, this is going to take me until next Tuesday to finish. See, it doesn't cover the area very well. But if you pull your marker down, you're holding it kind of on an angle, you can fill it pretty fast. So now, once I have that base coat of yellow, then I'm going to grab orange. So you might have a variety of different oranges to work with. And I'm going to take my orange now and I'm going to outline the beard. I'm just going around the edge. You can go in and make a few lines with another orange, a darker orange. So now I'm getting a little bit more dimension in my beard. Lots of colors. Now, if you only have one color orange, you can do the one color orange and then do a second coat in some of the areas, and that will also make it look darker. Remember, we just learned that with our green up here. Once I've finished my beard, then you have to decide what color you want your boots to be. So I just chose a gray. I thought gray looked fine. You could do a black boot. That would be cute. And I just run my marker very carefully in between the beard. I have to figure out what color his sleeves are going to be and his mittens. So I'm going to give him, let's see, light green sleeves this time. I gave him dark green sleeves last time. I'm going to give him dark green mittens this time. So when I'm finished with that, I'm going to go right in. I'm going to pause my video right now and finish my hat. Then I'll show you a couple more tricks. Now I'm going to take my Sharpie marker and I'm going to go back in and trace an outline around my polka dots. And then I'm going to show you one last trick, and that is for doing our kind of polka dot sky and our rainbow. So when I do my polka dot sky, I use all the colors in the rainbow. So as I use a color, I'm going to also use it up in the sky. So I start with the first color of the rainbow, which is red. And I'm going to hold my paper on an angle so I can pull my marker from one side to the other. Now, I'm a lefty. Most of you watching this video are going to be right-handers. So you're going to want to hold your marker with this hand, and you're going to pull your marker this way. So I'm going to hold my paper right here so it doesn't move. I'm putting my marker kind of on an angle, and I'm pulling it all the way across one long stroke. You make sure you have background paper behind you too. Okay, so red's done, but I'm not done with my marker. Now I'm going to actually hold my marker straight up and down. And I'm going to very softly, you don't want to damage the tip of the marker, but very softly, I'm going to hold it and start making dots. Now you notice I'm not banging my marker. We want these to last for all of our art lessons. I'm I'm done with that. Make sure that you always cap your markers so they make that click sound. Then I'm going to go on to the next color, and the next color is orange. And then I'm going to go in and add my orange dots. When you're finished doing all of your rainbow colors and your rainbow sky, I want you to take a picture of your beautiful piece of artwork, and I want you to send me a picture of your finished work to rtorres@lcusd.net. Send me an email with a copy of your work. If you do that, I promise I will write you back. I love it when I received art pictures from my students. It makes me so happy to see the projects you come up with. So I hope to see you next time for our art lesson. Have a great day.